On this episode, we talk about the various festivals offered at Epcot and pick which is our favorite in several categories. Today is April 11th, 2023, and this is episode 555 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey, guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. If you've not done so already, head over to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. We would not have had a chance to dine at Roundup Rodeo Barbecue on the second day of opening if it were not for mouse dining. I know often 60 days out, it is hard to get those reservations that you want, but mouse dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service, and yes, it really does work.
So today we are talking all of Epcot's festivals, all 4 of them. And this is brought to you from a listener suggestion. And thank you for that. So yeah, we're going to talk all festivals today, which is fun. I like them.
Yeah, Epcot now is festivals almost every day. You know, there's no more really diet Epcot that they used to call it.
Yes.
Where you had like a 2-month period of there being no festivals. Right now, at most, we get 2 weeks. So if you are not familiar with all the festivals that are throughout the year, we'll go ahead and start in January. Right after Marathon Weekend, they're going to kick off Festival of the Arts. One of the shorter running festivals is going to run January into February. You're going to have about a 2-week break, and we're going to move right at the beginning of March into Flower and Garden Festival, which is going to run from March all the way just past the July 4th weekend. Mid-July then, Food and Wine Festival, which is probably the most well-known festival. Everybody knows about that.
I feel like it.
That's going to run all the way into November, right before Thanksgiving. And then finally, we're going to have Festival of the Holidays, which is going to start right there around Thanksgiving and run through New Year's. So why don't you talk a little bit first about each festival? We'll start with Festival of the Arts. What exactly is Festival of the Arts?
Well, it's all of arts and I don't want to say crafts, but a type of craft, but from a very high-end crafting side. You've got a lot of art, paints, and pictures and all kinds of stuff like that. That is the probably predominant stuff.
Yeah. And that's both actual, what they're selling is artists. They're selling their art and their paintings and all, but down to the food, and all of the food, and we'll get to that in a bit really, but it's all very good. It's well presented, but they take the extra time to truly turn food into art for Festival of the Arts, which I think is very, very cool. And you'll find that, I think, with each of the festivals, what's in the name is what's in the food, if that makes sense.
And I will say, this is the one we always say, just be a little more patient because they are trying to make it look, Instagram worthy and everything like that. And it is really pretty. Yeah.
And for this one, you're going to have the Broadway concert series. For each of these we're going to talk about entertainment and all. That's when you have actual stars from the Disney Broadway shows that are performing for you, every weekend. And so that's kind of your entertainment area there. Every festival is going to do your scavenger hunt where you get to walk around the World Showcase and you get your little map and then you trade it in. You get a prize at the end. We really like Festival of the Arts. I think it's becoming one of my favorite. Talk a little bit about Flower and Garden, which is currently going on right now, which again, they impart flowers and gardening into everything that they do, from merchandise to food to,
Excuse me. And it's so neat because I do love all the flowers and the topiaries that you see all over and how they transform Epcot into, all the flowers, even around the lagoons and in, where you go speaking of the scavenger hunt, where you go, you find Spike the Bee and all of those around, and which is really cool. Yeah, Flower and Garden is, I'm glad it's running very long this year.
Yeah.
Because the food's really good. You know, it's so funny because we actually leave for Disney this week. And we are going to go back to Universal on Thursday for still Mardi Gras that's going on. And I was sitting there thinking, we're going to talk about the festivals at Epcot. And I'm like, I'm tired of Universal already. Like Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras. Like,
yeah.
I feel like could they move on, which is so funny because like I'm thinking, wow, I guess I really don't get tired of the festivals. And even it's nice now that they are kind of running longer and that you don't have diet, because if you have like tried everything like we do more for y'all that listen, and then all of a sudden we're like, well, we've done everything. A, we can go back and we can pick our favorites.
Yeah.
B, we can go, you know what? We're actually going to go ahead and sit down somewhere this time instead of doing festival foods.
Well, and they have the rotating menus for a couple of these booths.
Yes, I was just going to say with Flower and Garden. Yeah. Tell them what's about that now.
Well, there's
cool.
one or two booths that actually rotate their menus throughout all these months that go through. So you can actually go back and have new menus. Like they've just put the new one into effect. And I can't remember off the top of my head which booth it is, but something to keep a look at and then try if you go back repeatedly. So I do think that there's so much to try at Flower and Garden.
Yes.
That, I don't think it wears out its welcome. Like
and
you're
this
kind of
is your
saying that Mardi Gras feels like.
And this is your favorite entertainment, correct?
So they have the Garden
Say
Rocks series will be the entertainment for this one. And we can talk more about that in just a moment as we pick our best of for everything. I'm also going to mention we're recording in the morning, and I hate recording in the morning. I wake up, and my mom does the same thing. I wake up every morning and I cough. It's just a thing. Nothing wrong with me. Well, technically, but I'm good. And then as soon as I have to open my mouth and speak, my throat gets dry and I have to cough. So if I sound a little weird, that's probably why. And so I do apologize for that, but I do not like recording first thing after I wake up.
Well, I said something about yesterday.
We had a very busy Easter weekend. It was a good Easter. Again, in general, we've done Easter in Disney, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Actually had an Easter dinner at Cinco de Mayo. Oh my goodness. The Maya Grill over at Coronado Springs. That was real fun the one year, but no, we had a good Easter at home. My parents came down. The kids wanted to find eggs.
That was super fun.
So they found
13
eggs.
and 15.
Yeah, and they had a blast, and they got their little Easter baskets. So the Easter Bunny made a visit, even for 13 and 15-year-olds, which was super cool. But
they were very happy.
Flower and Garden, again, Rhonda described it. The decor and all is wonderful with the flowers. I think, again, we'll get into our best of. We'll move on to Food and Wine, though, which is going to kick off now in the middle of July.
Yeah, that has rubbed me a little bit wrong because it never used to start this early.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it used to be into the late August, September sometimes, and all of a sudden they've pushed it now. I mean, last year I think it started like July 13th.
Yeah. And the only reason is because I think, and in the past, the Food and Wine, food and stuff is more geared to a wintry type. Agreed. Where you don't want to eat this food until it's cooler out sometimes.
Yeah, if you're going to do rotating menus,
up,
yeah, I wish that instead of, putting in a fifth festival, and I think they could. I mean, I think they could do a summer festival.
Okay, I started to say, what would you call it? But a summer festival would be cool.
I would actually, oddly enough, gear it around Frozen. And almost play off of that, like you're trying to cool down summer or something. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you would do with it, but instead of creating a fifth festival, I wish that they would just maybe have two completely separate menus. So you would have
Food and Wine.
Yeah, you'd have your first menu starts in July, and maybe it runs through end of September, early October, and then you finish off with your second menu, and you would focus on summer flavors and things that are available. Maybe that's when you focus on more things like seafood and stuff like that. Then you move into the winter, air quote portion, which would include like your famous, cheese soup in Canada.
Right.
Like when it is 100 degrees outside,
yeah,
the soup is still delicious, but you're not really in the mood for it.
Mm-mm.
So imagine if instead, they had like a cold soup offering, a summer flavors offering during that, I think would be cool. You're going to have your food and wine. So when we go back to Garden Rocks used to be very much centered around your bands that were more from like 70s, 80s.
And this is at Flower and Garden. You're going
Flower
backwards.
and Garden. Then you get into Food and Wine Festival. It was more of your bands that were kind of 90s and 2000s. Some of that has started to bleed over. That would be Eat to the Beat. So that still tends to be a lot more of your 90s, 2000s, kind of more recent bands. There has been some bleed over just coming out of the whole COVID era and the pandemic, that things just changed, I guess, with band schedules and all. Your decor is all, everything's very, food and wine. I mean, it doesn't really, to me, have a specific kind of decor or feel the way that a Festival of the Arts and a Flower and Garden does.
Right.
Your scavenger hunt's going to be revolved around Remy.
Yeah, that's super cute.
We're going to move out of food and wine for the very short period from Thanksgiving into New Year's, and that's going to be Festival of the Holidays. Your entertainment there is the Candlelight Processional, where you have, famous readers such as we saw, Josh Gad last year come and tell that story. You're going to have Frozen and Olaf as your scavenger hunt. And your food is centered around the international cuisine that is common to that country, and you're going to have storytelling and stuff. So,
that's
like
really
Pierre
cool.
Noël in France and you're going to move around there and get to see Santa and all that good stuff. Let's talk about maybe some of the highlights or our favorite parts from each festival. And let's go ahead and start with entertainment. What entertainment throughout all 4 festivals would be your favorite and why?
Well, that's hard, I feel like, because
hard for you.
It is. Because I really love all of the concert series, basically. We've actually never sat down, though, for the Festival of the Arts.
Yeah, the Broadway.
I know,
we really need to make a point to do that.
We should.
We've not seen the Broadway shows. I love musicals and musical theater stuff, but
when it came here, Lion King.
Yeah, that was 20 years ago or something.
I feel like it. It's been a very long time.
So we really need to make a point this next Festival of the Arts to go ahead and do that.
Yes,
and maybe do a dining package.
Yes. But with all that being said, so the rest of them, are your Eat to the Beat and your Garden Rocks, and then, as Jeremy just said, your Candlelight Processional. I think just with growing up and just with everything that I was raised, I'm going to go ahead and say the Candlelight Processional.
Okay.
I just love it every year. It's just amazing. The singers, it's just so, I just love it. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I love the concert series through both Flower and Garden and Food and Wine.
Well, I mean, think about the fact that we got to sit, 15 feet from Josh Gad.
Yeah.
As he did the Candlelight Processional.
It was amazing.
Or Neil Patrick Harris. I mean, again, and they have so many wonderful narrators that come through. There really is not anything like it. I almost think I would pick that too because of the uniqueness. Now, for example, we're going this weekend. I absolutely love it. It used to be Eat to the Beat that Blue October played at. They now have switched over and they play Garden Rocks. We are going this weekend. We've got a whole group going to see Blue October. And there is nothing like it because it is such a good venue and, to see a band at. But the fact that we can go see Blue October anywhere else that they're playing, as opposed to, like, it's not like all of a sudden you're going to be like, you know what, I would like to buy a ticket to go see Josh Gad in person somewhere else. That doesn't happen.
Right.
So I think that's what makes Candlelight Processional so very unique and probably actually my favorite, even though this will be, I think, our 3rd or 4th year seeing Blue October. I'm trying to remember when we started because we started pre-COVID seeing them because they were part of Eat to the Beat.
Right.
And I think we saw them twice then. And I believe we've seen them twice now at Garden Rock. So this might actually be the 5th time seeing them at Epcot.
Wow.
And it is very cool. And one of the things that does make it more unique, as opposed to like when we've seen them at House of Blues, is that Justin, their lead singer, comes down into the crowd.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like I would hopefully, we're doing a dining package at Beer Garden, so we get the preferred entry and seating and all. I would love to get myself on an aisle right there in the middle.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I remember in the past him coming down and taking selfies and stuff with people, which I would probably just lose my mind. So very, very excited for that. But yeah, Candlelight Processional is cool. I'll be very interested to see the Broadway series finally.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
the thing.
Are you picking? What are you picking?
I'm picking Candlelight Processional.
What?
I really am. Because again, that uniqueness. Because there's not another way for you to say, I'm going to go see Neil Patrick Harris in person. Right. I'm going to go see Josh
Whoopi
Gad.
Goldberg.
I'm going to see, yeah, John Stamos.
I'm trying to think who
Whoopi
else
Goldberg.
Was there.
Gary Sinise. Like, see, these are some of the biggest names.
Mm-hmm.
So getting that opportunity to go see them in person like that is pretty freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on and talk about, I guess, the overall theming or decor. Like, which is your favorite outside of merchandise? Like, as far as cups and mugs and
right,
taking, because that'll be a separate topic here. What is your favorite decor for all of the festivals? What is your favorite to just walk around and take it all in?
I think Flower and Garden.
Yeah,
hands down. Just because of all the flowers. And I love flowers. I just don't have a green thumb. I wouldn't say I have a brown thumb, but I don't have what they call a green thumb.
Yeah, we've got a couple things that are alive out back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, I let God kind of do his thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing very well.
You can put some bananas on this tree that we've had for
I know.
half a decade. That would be nice.
But yeah, I think that just of all the flowers and then all the Disney topiaries, I just love that. I think it's so cool. And I will say, I look forward, because I don't want to wish our life away, because Lord knows when that'll be done. But I look very much forward to when Epcot is not under all this construction anymore.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Because I feel like when you're walking in, I'm like, oh, there's topiaries. Like, that's, I don't know. It's just, I want to have them, like, I don't want to have to feel like I'm looking for them. And that's where I'm like, that's where I feel like now when I go in, I'm like, oh, there's one. Oh, I have to take that in.
Yeah.
Like, it's not normal because of the way the construction is.
I get that. Yeah. And you're walking into this whole construction zone. It's very different from when you look at just say Hollywood Studios when Toy Story Land was being built or Galaxy's Edge was being built, because they were in the back.
Yeah.
Here you walk into Epcot and you're immediately, greeted pretty much by walls of construction and cranes and stuff. It will be neat when that is all done. The Moana water feature has water running through it now.
Ooh.
So it looks like hopefully we're getting very, very close to them announcing a date for that. That's going to help when all of those walls come down and you get to walk right into that.
Yes.
For me, I would probably pick Festival of the Arts.
Okay.
I love the artwork. It is unbelievable. We have bought a lot from there. There's still a lot that we need to get framed, which I need to do today. I need to make a note. I was at Walmart with my parents on Saturday, and we walked past the frames, and I said to them, remind me when we get home to write down what frames I need for the next time I come here. And I did not do that because we have a bunch of stuff that we still need framed to hang up around the house. But it's one of those things that you can truly just enjoy. You don't have to buy anything.
Right.
But yeah, you can if you want. I know there are a lot of people that make that a point every year to go to Festival of the Arts and buy something. Let's move on to the scavenger hunt. What is possibly your favorite scavenger hunt throughout all the festivals?
Honestly,
I think
Olaf.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I love Remy, but yeah, during the holidays, that's just my favorite, because that's the reason I say it's my favorite, because that's the one, whether I have a map or not, I'm still trying to look for him, because he's so daggum cute.
Yeah, he is.
And I mean, let's be honest, the age that we are now, and because of our kids are older and they don't even come with us, I literally just go to look at the prize. And if it's a prize that I'm like, okay, I want that to have at the house for the kids or for whatever, then I'm going to buy the map I'm going to say I want to go ahead and trade it now.
Yeah.
They'll stamp it. They'll give you the thing. And then I don't even usually look for them, depending on who it is. Like festival holidays, absolutely. Remy, every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, yeah, there's Remy, because he's super cute, too.
He is, yeah.
I do like
Spike.
seeing Spike. I just started to say, I do like seeing Spike, but he's in all of the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I love the Olaf ones. I mean, for any of them, I've said all along, I feel like Disney is missing out on a huge merchandise push of taking these adorable Olaf statues and shrinking them down into an ornament. I would buy every last one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously.
And
they could sell them. They could sell them in a pack even. Like, here's the whole collection, or you buy them individually.
No,
like,
they'll make more money by individually.
Oh my goodness.
Like, instead of drinking around the world, buy an ornament around the world.
Yes. I absolutely love them. Are we going to do the Flower and Garden one of these next 2 weekends? Are we going to go ahead and get that prize? Because remember, there was the little plate. There's a mug. A cup.
Plate,
There's a couple good ones this year.
And their dishwasher.
Yeah.
And microwave safe, I believe she did say.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic.
I swear at some point, whoever is Disney creative coming up with merchandise was sitting in a room and they're like, let's make mugs from here on out, not microwave safe and not dishwasher safe. Someone's like, well, why would we do that? And we're like, just to be difficult, because there's so many of them. Like it's hard. I mean, some of our favorite mugs, it stinks where, like, right now you wouldn't be able to go now this one actually is microwave safe that you're drinking out of the Wilderness Lodge, which is very old, but like my favorite mug that we own is that newest Coronado one.
You can't
put it in the microwave, can't put it in the dishwasher. So you want to go reheat your coffee, you got to transfer your vessel.
There's been times where I've driven to work and I have a cup that I'm like, oh man, I can't put this in the microwave.
Yeah, once you get to work.
And I get to work and then I have to transfer it to a mug there and then
Yeah. All right, let's move on to merchandise. Which festival are you like, I got to get the merch?
So this is a really hard one, excuse me, because I feel like depending on who's designing, what's going on, they're all of them.
Yeah.
Because, I remember a few years ago, there was Food and Wine, and it had Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
Flower and Garden, there's been some with Minnie Mouse that I've loved. I wore a shirt the other day with it.
Yeah.
Festival of the Holidays.
It's usually
Frozen, so I love that. I mean, if you were like, okay, you have to pick, I would probably pick between Food and Wine and Festival of the Holidays, because I think I have more of their merch.
Yeah.
Like, if I think about it, like, in like, okay, what do I have? But I mean, it really, like, I feel like if I go and I try to find all of my merch from all of these festivals, I may come up pretty darn even.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it really depends on who's designing and
really
what's going
on the year. I think for me overall, Flower and Garden just tends to not be my color scheme. I think they have absolutely wonderful merch for Flower and Garden, and they have some of the coolest stuff as far as like, maybe like the pictures and stuff go, or the mugs that look like maybe a flower pot, or like they have really, really cool stuff. It's just not my color scheme. It's all very earthy tones.
Right.
I tend to be very blacks, blues, reds, things like that. I think Food and Wine has my favorite merch, but it is all centered usually around like craft beer and wine, which I don't drink anymore.
Right.
So it's kind of funny. Like one of my favorite shirts I've ever bought is a craft beer shirt.
Mm-hmm. I remember that one.
And I wear it, but then I'm like, well, I don't drink craft beer anymore. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, I would maybe in the end vote International Festival of the Holidays, because I'm going to get some Olaf stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm always going to go to. And, it's you can wear it all throughout winter. I think you can wear it after the holidays. It's not specifically like I have that one pass holder hoodie that I'll wear in January and February or today. It's cold in Florida today and rainy and gross. So yeah,
cold yesterday.
It was yesterday. So yeah, I think that's probably my favorite overall would be Festival of the Holidays.
Okay.
Let's move on to drink. I don't know that I have a specific festival that I love to drink, but China is always bringing it. Every single festival.
You love that drink.
They are bringing it.
Yeah.
Do you have one specific to drink that you can think of? I mean, again, France, the slushies are.
I just started
good.
to say you can always, if you like, or like, all right, pick. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say Food and Wine and France.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are so many different fun ones, and like this year's Flower and Garden with the China 1C butterfly that you like, they have a really cute one. It comes in a shorter glass and it's sparkly and it's pink and it's really good.
Yeah.
That's something that I could go, you know what, I'm going to start the day out with that because it is a little sweet, but perfect. And I could be like, I'm going to start the day out with that, and then I'm going to move on. And then, but yeah. I
mean, I think in general, outside of just our opinions and what we like, again, because we don't do beer and wine anymore. I mean, I think your Food and Wine is the best festival for a drink.
But I mean, Flower and Garden too has, I feel like, upped their game a little bit.
Yeah, they really have.
Festival of the Arts.
Festival of the Arts is cool if you are somebody who is into some champagne, some beer. I mean, you can get a sparkly beer.
Yeah.
Like
that was cool.
So there's definitely some options as far as that goes. Overall, throughout all 4 festivals, you are only allowed to pick one for food. Which festival has the best food?
That's really hard too for me because I like a lot of food. Like it's like, I like how they'll bring up new ones. I like how they have sometimes, your old traditional stuff. So,
but you have to pick one.
If you're only going to make me pick one.
Because here's the thing, is somebody comes, a listener, friend, whatever, comes and says, Rhonda, we're going to go to Disney in 2024. We would like to experience a festival. We love food. We're foodies. We can only go once next year. What festival do you recommend for the best food? Not necessarily the most, because Flower and Garden and Food and Wine are going to give you the most options. They're going to have the most booths. But what has the best food?
Well, and that's funny because I was just going to say Food and Wine because it does run the longest. It does have a lot of food, and it does have where it will start out in July and have some foods, and then maybe September they'll open other ones.
Yeah, they open
come
additional
on.
booths. So you're going to pick Food and Wine?
I think because I'm just trying to I think I know where you're going to go, because I'm just trying to think, okay, we get to go back.
Right.
We're very grateful and thankful that we get to go back. And we get to go back a lot of times, multiple times. So I think of okay, what festival we've gone back to that I'm like, I know we've gotten it 5 times, but I'm going to get this again.
Right. Yeah.
So there's not one. I know what you're going to say, but I can't think for me personally where I can say this is the one because I always want to get this. I always want to get that.
Yeah.
I guess I can say, because it has been there a couple of times, which I was very excited. I do believe it's Flower and Garden, which is the Canada risotto, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. What am I going to say?
You were going to say Flower and Garden because the empanada. No,
I'm going to say Festival of the Arts.
Is that the one then at Empanada? At Encanto?
No. I think that is, I can't even remember no, that's Food and Wine. I'm gonna say Festival of the Arts because of, first of all, I think it has some of the best tasting food. I also think it feels the most accessible. Where if you are only able to go once a year and you've got 1 day or 2 days at Epcot, you're not gonna feel overwhelmed like at a Food and Wine or a Flower and Garden where you're like, I can't get to all of this. You can try all of Festival of the Arts. Like, you can accomplish trying every booth there because there's less. I also think it has just some of the most inventive things. I mean, you have deconstructed French onion soup.
Okay, I started to say, well, what is your dish then that you have? What festival have you gone back to pretty much over? You're like, all right, we've eaten, but I want to go back and get this. Like, I mean.
The Bocadillo over at Mardi Gras at Universal. I want to get that again on Thursday.
Okay, we can, because literally, I feel like we've tried everything, and I'm bored with it.
Oh my goodness!
But I look very forward to going back to Epcot
the Flower and Garden. We're gonna have to make some time on Saturday because we're eating a big beer garden lunch on Friday.
Right.
So I don't know how much festival food we'll get to, but then we're going back the following weekend for our anniversary, so we'll be there 2 weeks in a row. I really. So
is there any dish? Okay.
I love the deconstructed booth.
Right.
It is my favorite booth.
Yes.
I love the French onion soup there. I love the deconstructed BLT.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that is probably kind of my favorite overall. Yes, that empanada from the Encanto booth is definitely up there with my festival favorites, but I don't think it's going to win an entire festival for me.
Okay.
Again, if you go back, as we talked about with drink, if you want what Epcot and Disney and festivals are all about, as far as the quality of food, the styles of food, same with the drink, you have to go Food and Wine. I mean, I really do believe that. The Canada booth with the sirloin and the beer cheese soup is unbelievable. It's a great value if you can't get into Le Cellier or you don't want to drop all that money on a full meal there. Right. You can get lots of great tastes of that. I do think that they stay pretty inventive with, keeping some classic dishes that people love year after year, but bringing in new stuff. Mexico is a top-notch booth every single festival, every single year. Italy is not. So
hey, Italy had some good
came through
stuff.
This past Festival of the Arts. It was not too bad. We still need to try it for Flower and Garden.
Right.
So that's one we gotta look at one of the next 2 weekends. But yeah, I mean, again, I think if you look at overall, and somebody did come to me and say, what do you think is the best festival for me to experience, having never been and only getting to go just say once next year? It'd be very hard for me to not recommend Food and Wine, just from beginning to end, with everything that it offers and everything that it involves. I feel like it is the anchor of festivals, with Flower and Garden coming up behind that, Festival of the Arts. I really don't think that International Festival of the Holidays gets talked about enough.
Yeah, and they've
kind of just hidden in there.
Right.
They have some really good stuff. They've really started to up the food. A couple years ago, food wasn't that great. It was okay, but they've really tried to put more attention. I think right now they're like, all right, Food and Wine's big. Everybody knows about it. Flower and Garden's big. Everybody knows about it. I feel like the past couple years they put all their attention into Festival of the Arts and blowing that up more. I think maybe once that gets to where they want it to be, they'll maybe go focus on Festival of the Holidays. But you have so much going on during the holiday season all throughout Disney that I don't know that they need to put their effort into that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's, the festivals are such a huge part of Epcot now. They're such a huge staple. Like we said, you really only have about 2 weeks between each festival. So only about 8 weeks out of the entire year that there isn't some sort of festival going on. There are booths that are permanent now. I mean,
I just started to say
in and out, and
yeah.
now you see them year round.
So when it is on a diet, basically, as they call it, it is still funny to see them, because then you're like, well, they're coming. Yep. Like, they're not far off.
Just open it now. Why do we need 2 weeks?
I mean,
and it wouldn't shock me if we could get to a point where there could be days between festivals. It would not shock me.
It wouldn't, but because Disney can do that. But Lord have mercy, I feel like they need those 2 weeks to like get food and get stuff ready and like I don't know. It
was really cool. I got to go and I wish that they would bring this back. It was a D23 event, and you were working. It was like on a Tuesday or something, but I was lucky enough to go down by myself. Was this VIP tour, and we actually got to sit in a room and hear some of the executives and the vice president of Epcot at the time and the chefs talk about how they create these dishes, how they come up with them, what they're looking for. It was just a super cool, down to the design, like, here's the colors that we're using for, Food and Wine, and here's the ideas that we had, and, they have to design all these little banners and the merchandise and everything and the booklets, and it was really, really cool to see that kind of behind the curtain and behind the scenes of what goes into these, and it is year round, and there's so much thought and effort that goes into it. Whereas, if you go back over to Universal, like in the Mardi Gras Festival, it's just kind of like, just plop it in there, I mean, and we've enjoyed the food there, and it is neat.
Yeah, we have.
But it doesn't feel cohesive to the entire Universal Studios side, to that park.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as though they're making an effort to, make it cohesive throughout.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you walk in and you'd have zero idea that there's a festival going on until you see your first food booth. And they're like, oh, okay. All right. I see what's happening now. You know, whereas it is in your face everywhere as soon as you walk into Epcot, whatever festival it may be, from that first entrance as soon as you hit the tap style. So
yeah,
I think they do such a wonderful job. Highly recommend you visit a festival.
Yeah.
Again, any of the 4 will do, and you will have a great time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Highly recommend you go see Blue October as well.
Okay.
Then get a dining package so you get your seat.
Yeah.
And the dining packages really are great. Again, if you go back, even I would say with the Broadway series, which I'm sure we could go ahead and get a seat to one on standby, but it is fun to experience the dining package.
Absolutely.
And have that guaranteed.
And then you get some food and we're going to have some good food and good friends this weekend.
Yeah, super excited. Group of 10. Beer garden.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you my updated thoughts on beer garden from the last time we went. Super excited. I don't think there is a better place to have 9 of my closest friends join me. I mean, just the atmosphere and everything is going to be so much fun. I really, honestly, am not even concerned with what the food is like this time around because of how much fun we're going to have with this big group. So we will bring you all of that. Next 2 weekends are going to be jam-packed. We will have a lot of content coming out of there. If you want to see that content live in our private Facebook group, you can check out our Patreon group at wonderlandcrew.com. Subscribe, get all these brand new episodes Tuesday and Friday. And of course, we would be so very thankful if you could leave us a rating and review.
Because it'll help our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.